CNBC-TV18 Weekender, only on CNBC-TV18.
Welcome back, and we still have with us Karan Shah of Society Tea. Karan, and thank you so much for that cup of
Most
tea.
welcome.
Tell us, there is this whole array of teas now entering the Indian market, while of course there is enough competition in the Indian markets itself, with the international people also coming in. How is the whole market looking now?
So, what's happened is there are a lot of international products, and the consumer today is very experimental. You do want to try the green teas. There are a lot of interesting teas that I buy sometimes as well, just to see what's out there in the market. So it has made a difference, but just means that we have to be on our toes, like I said.
You did say that there are no exact numbers when you look at the tea industry,
yes.
But when you look at the traditional teas and the dip in the cup tea, and then of course the herbal teas, yes, and the brews, and of course the green teas, and it's non-ending really. So how would you say what has a very steady market, what really is increasing its share, what is going down? Is there a trend really to follow?
Okay, may I kind of quickly explain to you how it works as well? So once the tea leaf is plucked up, so once it's withered, which is where it's just laden with moisture, the drying process will determine what the tea is finally made into. So it's passed through heat. The least heat which is passed will make the tea white. Furthermore, heat will give it a green texture. And then you have the black. So it's basically the same leaf that's treated to make these three variants.
And then of course the next step would be certification. So what you're saying, Karan, is that right from what estate it comes from and the quality of the leaf to processing, and then of course explain to us certification part of it.
Oh, certification for tea brands is through the tea board. For example, the only time it would change is for when I spoke about our premix teas, the 1-minute teas. The 1-minute teas would require a proprietary license, which is through the FSSAI, which I'll just say is a lot easier than it used to be before.
Okay. And tell us about the exports part of it. You told us earlier that what is exported is usually the branded tea. So would you say that much of the unbranded tea then gets consumed into the Indian markets only?
It's actually the other way around. The unbranded teas are exported as the largest part of our quantum, okay, and it's usually to Eastern Europe, where Assam tea is the largest part of our exports, and it's usually the unbranded teas that go across, but okay, also we consume a lot of our teas. I'd say more than 75% of the teas are consumed internally. Now you have Kenya that's also exporting, and the Kenyan teas are a lot similar to our Indian teas in terms of body and all sorts. So it's a very similar tea to our Indian tea, and their per capita consumption is a lot lower. So you have that affecting the market as well in terms of exports. Recently, exports have been at an all-time high because of the price fluctuation between Kenya and Sri Lanka. So we've seen an increase in exports in the recent times. When
it comes to geographies, how have you seen? Is there a particular state which consume more than the other one?
There will be certain areas that will consume, certain states that will consume a little more than the next. So while Maharashtra is a large consumer of tea, so is Gujarat. But I was so surprised. I was doing a market study in Chennai, okay, which I thought was a very big consumer of coffee. It's 50% consumption of tea in that market, which is quite surprising. So the South also consumes tea a lot.
Let's talk about Society Tea. You said you were foraying into other things. Dairy is something that you already seem to be taking on board now. Is the name changing from Society Tea to something else, or are you going to go with that?
Society stays, but it depends. So we're getting into pickles and chutneys as well. So we probably not use the society name for that, but it will be somewhere in the foray.
Karan, let's also talk about yourself now. I mean, what was it like always decided that you would join the family business, and is that how you studied?
I actually, I just went with the flow, but there was a passion that I took on very seriously. I used to produce music a lot more than I do now, but yes, that's definitely something that I saw as a very serious passion of mine. It's taken a bit of a backseat, but I will definitely get back to it sometime. I will
So if
definitely.
Karan wasn't brewing teas, he would be producing music.
Hopefully, yes. Karan would be happier doing that as well.
Okay.
But tea is in my blood.
Well, okay, that's two of my favorite things. Music and tea is what we are talking about. But we have to talk much more about the forward-looking plans with Karan after this very short break.
CNBC-TV18 Weekender, only on CNBC-TV18.